is Marico Sayoc, and I am the Vice Mayor of the Town of Los Gatos. I am delighted to be here this afternoon, enjoying the speakers just as much as you all, but I also just welcome any opportunity to introduce myself, because I'm assuming, based on some statistics that I know, that 40% of you in the audience have no clue who the heck I am. I'm also assuming, based on some statistics, that 40% of you probably didn't even know Los Gatos had a vice mayor. And my final assumption for the afternoon is that, but this time it's not based on statistics, but based on the following slide, that 40% of you in the audience probably just don't even care. Just saying. Anyway, but I care, and I hope that by the end of today, you may start to care too, and you'll understand why. Now, the 40% statistic that I keep mentioning comes directly from the Santa Clara County Register of Voters. In the town of Los Gatos, the last time we had a general election, 2 years ago, 2014, only 58.4% actually voted. So 40% did not, approximately. Now, you have to remember, not everyone who is eligible to vote actually registers to vote. In our town of approximately 30,000, only 18,000 are registered to vote. And then you take a smaller number from that, and 40% did not vote, for whatever reason, whether they didn't care, whether they didn't understand, whether they were busy. So what that means to me and to others is that in Los Gatos, 10,787 people in 2014 actually participated in how they chose their representatives. 10,787 people care on the future focus of this town. That's 1/3 of our population that is essentially governing how we are going to continue regulating our town. So I've taken, if you look at the slide above, I've decided I'm not going to be the character in blue that just comments on increasing voter apathy. I need to understand, why is it that no one cares? And what I found is the first step of that is just people don't understand what local government can do for them. Sure, we understand what's happening at the national level, international level, but why is it you should care about what your local government is doing for you? So, best way to do that is let's explore on a day-to-day basis what we do and how we can weave that into your everyday activities. So following today's slogan, let's explore. Let's explore how local government relates to your life. And let's use examples right now. So I'm assuming that in order to get to today's event, you had to take a road. And so you probably weren't thinking that every road you take in town, every stoplight, every stop sign, every signage, that's maintained by your local government to ensure that you get to your destination, whether it was today or any other destination, safely. If you're a pedestrian or a bicyclist, I hope you've noticed more emphasis on Greek bike lanes and brighter crosswalks. That's a recent emphasis that your government has placed. It's raining right now. We're inside, we're indoors. But during the recent rains, it's the local staff that's out there braving the weather, making sure the storm drains are clear, making sure that all the trees that are downed are immediately picked up, making sure that there's no flooding. We don't think about it, but that's your local government at work. Across the street, our state-of-the-art, LEED certified public library that was funded, that was built, that's operated on a daily basis by your government. At the end of this day, you decide after spending so much time indoors, you might want to unwind at our town plaza or one of our local parks, again, operated by your government. And during the past 4 years of drought, that was especially hard to do, to make sure that we maintain the water resources that goes into maximizing what green space we utilize. And then finally, at the end of the day, you're going to go home knowing that your house, it's safe, because it was your local government that ensured when it was built that it's built up to code and it's certified to building standards. And most importantly, all of us in this room feel safe. Whether you're in this auditorium or whether you're traveling throughout town, you feel safe because your local police department is working vigilantly to ensure your safety on a regular basis. You're going to hear from Captain D'Antonio later. He can probably hear me now. And you guys are big, it's a big treat. And you'll understand why we are very fortunate with our local police force under his leadership and guidance. You also heard from a previous speaker how if you look at the death penalty and how you look at law enforcement, what happens nationwide differs. Again, it's your local government that determines how your community interacts with you. Okay? Now, this is the small town service, community stewardship. This is what we expect living in Los Gatos. But it's the quality of life details that we should be paying more attention to. These are the quality of life details that together we can develop the future focus of what our town will look like. So I ask a lot of people, how do you want to develop your future? What is your vision for this town? So if you have a passion for environmental sustainability like I do, there are opportunities to determine whether the town's power, if it's coming from traditional fossil fuels or more alternative energy sources like wind and solar. We're going to have opportunities to determine whether new developments maximize water efficiency, protecting water resources. We're going to look at opportunities to preserve more open space. These are decisions we're going to be making now that will affect the future of this town. Why not participate? If economics, commerce, maybe that's more of your area of interest, well, then there are opportunities to determine what the economic vitality of this town will look like, whether it's downtown, whether it's the northern area, which we call North 40, and everything in between. If social justice sparks your soul, look at some of the resolutions we've passed on suicide prevention and against trafficking, human trafficking. These are activities that we can do at our level, and that statewide, nationwide, they're still debating. But we have an opportunity to really affect how we want our community to govern based on what we want for ourselves. I have worked in almost every aspect of government, from the local now to federal to international, and it really is at a local level where you can make the most impact. We've heard it. You think globally, you act locally. Everything we do directly affects our community. Health and fitness, if these are areas of interest, then you'd want to know some of the current thinking that we're thinking about. For example, we're about to change our smoking ordinance. And that's something you might want to be interested in. And one thing I should note, given the community that we're in, it is our youth commission that is actually drafting what our smoking ordinance will look like. We talk about how we value the youth in our town. Well, we're actually letting these young adults, 13 to 18, draft the legislation that will guide how the secondhand smoke is governed in this town. These are areas of interest that, these are just some of the few that I've mentioned, but these are areas where your passion, your interest, as you develop it, you can actually help develop it within your own community. You know? And what I'm hoping today is that as you sit here and think about all these different areas, that as you think about how you're growing your own personal path, we can find out ways that we can weave those together. As you grow yourself, grow it within your own community. Because I do really think that it's my job as your vice mayor, as your council member, well, what is it that interests you? And how can we make sure that, am I representing your interest correctly? And not only am I representing it, but how can I facilitate it so that you can get more involved? What areas can I be of service to you? So as I close this, I just ask you to empower your voice. And I close with the same slide that I began with. And I just ask you, don't be the character in blue above that's just commenting year after year about increasing voter apathy. Don't also be the character in green that just doesn't care. Be the character that's not even in this cartoon. Be a character that's in a super cartoon elsewhere, that's out there making a difference for yourself. And let me help you in any way that I can as your representative. Thank you very much.